You can. Like 5 or 6 in a row.
What if enlightenment wasn't a distant dream, but a reality you could experience now? Not a journey, not a lifetime of searching, but instant and permanent enlightenment, right here, right now. Iamdivinity is the birthplace of a new era in human consciousness. We are not just a movement, we are the pioneers of instant and permanent enlightenment. Through our revolutionary practices like divine focus, we guide you to your ultimate truth, the realization that you are divine. This isn't a fleeting moment of clarity, it's a lasting state of higher consciousness. Together, we are raising humanity's vibration from 210 to 700 and beyond. We are awakening the world to the truth that consciousness is the new currency. This is your moment to awaken, to transform, to become enlightened. Are you ready to step into your divinity?
Ia mahoni ale teu, ia burele teu, tamale teu, lahu.
Well, welcome everyone. Great to have you on the call. Very exciting what's happening for Iamdivinity community. Like every day is like startling amazing. The topic today that I chose to talk about is how the ego tricks you. Okay? It hardly ever tricks me anymore, but I know how difficult it has been for me. It has been amazingly difficult, to say the least. So, you know, like one of the crazy things is I was just talking to my my tech person here, Willie, and we were just discussing a few of the ways the ego tricks. I remember I was on Prince Edward Island. That's where I was from, and I moved from Calgary back to PEI, and I had opened up a place for counseling, that kind of thing. Okay, and
Just discussing.
what's going on? And anyway, a guy found out about, I had a sign out on the street, and guy come up, and here he was from Toronto, and he had been in therapy for 10 years for phobia. I'm not quite sure what the phobia was at this time. And anyway, he read the sign, and he come up, told me what it was, and I said, yeah, I'm available in 20 minutes, actually. So he took my process. It took 40 minutes, and it was all gone. And he had spent 10 years in psychoanalytical therapy. And he still had it. And that's how the ego tricks. Talking about a problem. And all it does is just makes it bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? And so, like, how many of you are on the call believe you can get rid of a lifetime of programs that fast. I do. I see it every day. Every day. Every single day. We did one just a little while ago. We were in Vancouver, Jamie and I, and we got a ferociously excited team in Vancouver. You know, like they had 2 nights already set up. They had, I think it was Monday and Tuesday. I don't remember very well because not because I've got Alzheimer's, but because of the high vibration that I am. I don't do memory, so that's why it's a little bit okay. Get somebody else to tell me what the answer is, and that's what it was like. This, you know, like I'm trying to think of how to explain it the best, but it's let me see. The whole the ladies that are there, they had 2 nights booked. They had 2 nights booked, and I'm telling you, they're like, this is like a prairie grass fire that's happening, and they kept begging Jamie to stay another night, and we had already had our tickets booked to come back to Costa Rica and all of this, and so we did back-to-backs. Did back-to-backs. I think it was 10 and 12 or something like that. And once again, the memory is not the best from that perspective. And this was Amy and Janet, and said, "Oh, we already have such a gigantic interest. Like, can you stay another night?" And so we did. We stayed another night, and there was I think 16 on the Friday night. Yeah, and I mentioned this already. This is another piece to the ego. Okay, I'm fitting all of these little pieces in here for you to put this jigsaw puzzle together. And so here we are. They said, yes, there's this many coming, but there's one person wants to change the venue. Why did they want to change the venue? Well, he's got a phobia of elevators, and he doesn't want to go up the elevator. And then Janet called me and told me this. I said, Janet, tell him to meet me downstairs. Just tell him to meet me downstairs, okay? So, okay. So lo and behold, here he was, 10 minutes early. And there was, I think, 8 or 10 came down to see this this miraculous event. And it does seem miraculous to the outside world, like seriously. And here's this guy, I can't remember how long he had it, 6 or 10 years or 20, I don't know. Anyway, so he walked in the door, everybody was there. This is all videos. So you can see it on the videos, one way or the other, the actual, what I'm talking about. And I just started pumping them with the questions. I said, okay, you ready? Boom! Gone. Took about 2 minutes. And was gone. He walked into the elevator just like everybody else. There was nothing. There was no angst. There was nothing. It was just the same as the other 8 that were there, walking into the elevator and up to the I think it was the 10th floor or 7th, I don't know, somewhere in that vicinity. And yeah, so it didn't take long for, this works. Now, coming back to the ego, like that's an example of the ego and how it tricks you. Like seriously, you know, and it's in personal development. It's in many, many programs. People are talking about a problem. That's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. Okay? The intellect is where the ego traps you. Your divine focus is the highest vibration of your divinity. And it's so different up here. It's so different. Like you can see things and you can shift things and all of that. It's like totally different. And so, he goes upstairs and did like, I think there was 16 or 14 or something like that on the, at her event. And once again, I want to congratulate Amy and Janet for putting these groups together, because right now there's a global explosion happening. We already just that night, there's one from for Hamilton. There is one for Australia, New Zealand, in the States somewhere. I can't remember them all now. Once again, that whole I don't do memory piece. And yeah, it's exploding. This all happened. Well, that was on the third night. That's when the explosion happened, because the first group and the second group were telling everybody, and that's how it works. And what we, and I had told everybody, listen, your job, Jamie and I's vision is to get 400,000 people at 700. That's the goal, to shift all humanity, on the planet. Yes, I think it's 8 billion. Yeah, it is 8 billion. 8 billion people on the planet will shift by us shifting 400,000 to the state of enlightenment, which is 700. It's 700, okay? And now we've got this ego telling you it's impossible, telling you need to talk about this. Like the guy with the phobia from Toronto, 10 years. And it was, at that time I was still, learning. And it was like 45 minutes. No, 35 minutes. Yeah, it was gone. So what's that but the ego tricking? What's that? And I'm telling you that your level of enlightenment, which is we're talking about, is instant and permanent enlightenment. Now, you read anything about that, it's like a few, 2, 5, and it's a lifetime. Yeah, no. I'm talking about 400,000 instantly. That's what I'm talking about. Now, how different are those two stories? How different are they? And you can challenge me all you want. I got proof. Listen to some of these videos. Listen to people talking about their transformations. Yeah, because it's an instant. And just last night, and it's an absolutely diametrically, like perfect example, was Amy. She had chronic fatigue. She had back pain. She had phobias. She had migraine headaches. I'm just trying to think of them all. And she just kept going to all these therapies and personal developments and all of them. And she still had them. And And she called me one night, and I just said, okay, are you ready? Are you ready, Amy? You want to do this? You want to talk about this? Or do you want to not have it? And so she agreed. I took her through the process alone. And I just started asking her questions. Now remember, I'm telling you, your situation and your symptoms, whatever they are, cancer, migraine headaches, chronic back pain, ulcers, like, it don't matter. Ingrown toenails, it don't matter. Now, I'm telling you that there's a way to access that. There's a way to blow that, burst that bubble that the ego has created to stay alive in your intellectual program, which is what the personal development is. It's exactly what it is. How do I know? I was in it for 15 years or something like that. I did all these, and the same with the religions. I was in all these religions. I went to Mass every Sunday I went to Mass every day for a year. I went to communion every day for a year, and I went to confession every week for a year. 0 results. 0 results of my panics and my chronic back pains and all of the above. Okay? All of them. Still there. So that crossed out the religion piece, because I did it all. The actual priest told me, Don, stop coming to confession. You have nothing to tell. That's what he told me. Father Dollinger. Okay? So, I experienced all of these. Every one of them. And that's how I ended up putting these pieces together to find out how this all worked. And also how the pieces that don't work. That's how I did it. I wasn't studying. I didn't go to university. I didn't go to the medical system, even though I've dealt with just about every medical program on the planet. Cancers. Getting rid of cancer in 15 minutes. Yeah. Yes. Saving a billionaire $600 million in 6 minutes. How's that? Tell me if you know anyone that done that. Okay? 5 addictions: alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, and sex. Gone. That was a total of an hour. An hour. Took me an hour to extract the codings and then do the process. And 15 months later, I played golf with him. His name was Tim. Still no trace of any of those 5 addictions. And he was also in the middle of a messy divorce. They had got back together and had a healthy baby. Like all of those kind of things. Like they're the total opposite of out there of what the ego is tricking people to believe is the way to do it. And it keeps it going in a circle. In a yes. Yes and yes. Now, there's a lot of people don't want to come to me. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. The ego's got them tricked. The ego's got them tricked that, first of all, it won't work for them. Second of all, it's a scam. Third of all, it can't work that way. Just can't. So all of those are all bullshit lies. Okay? Created by the ego to keep you in its grip. Well, it doesn't have me in its grip. Every once in a while, I do get tricked a little bit. Something happens, but it's like, not today, ego. Not today, ego. Okay? So, like, and that's why I'm talking about crazy, amazing things. Like even Dr. Hawkins talking about the time it takes to get somebody, like it's like I really don't recall these numbers, but they're like to get someone from 210 to 500, or 210 to 300, and it's just crazy. I'm talking about 210 to 700 in 2 hours. 210 to enlightenment, which is 700 in 2 hours. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like the ego has you tricked. It is. It's trying to keep in control of you. And so they're all bullshit lies. I've seen people walk out of hospitals. This one lady, can't think of her name right now, once again. And she had she'd spent more time in the hospital than out of the hospital in the last year, the year previous to meeting me. And she had all these symptoms and everything. And somebody, and I knew she was going to be difficult. I can just tell. I can know, and once again, like while I'm chatting here, there's we'll put up the map of consciousness scale so you can see these numbers I'm talking about. Okay, like shame at I don't know, I can't see. It's too far away. And all the way up to 700 to 1,000 being enlightenment. And coming back to this lady, she spent more time in the hospital than out in that previous year. Okay? Somebody convinced me to work with her. They even paid for her to take my process. So I knew it was going to be difficult, but anyway, I relented and did a one-on-one with her. And it was, I think it was 45 minutes, I think, an hour, something like that. And when we were finished, I said, so what do you notice? She said, oh my God, it's gone. And she just showed her belt line. She said, I had a bulge the size of my fist on here for 5 years. It's gone. Look, it's gone. How crazy amazing is that? How crazy amazing is that? That's ego convincing her of something, whatever that was. That I don't have people's symptom, like all their everything about them. It's been, there's a lot of people I've worked with, so I'd have to have it in front of me, remind me. And yeah, it was gone. And listen to this. Now, keeping in mind, she went to the hospital or went to therapy or whatever every day for a year. And the next year, she went twice. How crazy is that? That's no different. Mike Janik, the Olympic skier, that and pro skier, and he had what was it? Oh yeah, he went to therapy. Now listen carefully. Every day, including in the summer, for 3 years for his back pain. Okay? 3 years. Got that? He took my process. One session, it was gone. One session, it was gone. And for the next year, zero pain. Gone. How is that? So I'm telling you, these long things, like people are believing these stories. I mean, these stories, not mine, but others. And the ego is creating these stories to get you to believe that you're powerless and you're helpless and you're hopeless. That's what it's getting you to believe. Okay? And you listen to it and you believe it. And it's a bunch of bullshit. You're powerful beyond imagination. You are. Yes. I haven't had an ounce of psoriasis on this body now for, must be 30 years for sure. Possibly more. Yeah. And I used to be covered. I haven't had a chronic back pain for forever. Before, I would literally, whatever job I was doing, and I did different jobs, and, it was like lots of times I was in bed for 8 days, not able to move. Literally, here's a strong, healthy body, and I could hardly move. Literally. I was in a waterbed, and if it moved a little bit, I'd go, oh, oh, oh. Yeah, it was that bad. Gone. 35 years, I think, somewhere in that vicinity. Not even a twitch. So that's the ego. Telling you these stories that are all a bunch of bullshit. They're not true at all. They're not true at all. Okay? And that's why this Iamdivinity process is going to grow like a prairie grass fire around the planet. It's already doing that. Because, I'm just going to, I don't have any proof of these numbers. But I'd say a quarter of the population, okay, is starting to believe and starting to see and starting to grasp what I'm doing. And they're starting to come. Yes. So, pretty exciting. Really, really exciting. Yes. And the biggest thing is stop listening to the lies of the ego. And these, this type of cancer is, you have a 30% chance of survival, or you have a 50 or an 80. Well, those numbers are ego. They're all ego. They're all ego. And they're based on past history of what the ego did. Think about that. It created the cancer because it got you worrying and anxious and believing you weren't good enough and not worthy and all of those things. Because they're all symptoms of the way you're thinking. That's what the symptoms are. Yes. And so medication doesn't do it. No. You might have to use something temporary like a salve or something till it's gone. But that's not the solution. The solution is coming back to Amy. And I keep using her because it's such a perfect example. So here she is. She came to me, and she had chronic back pain. She had psoriasis, I think. She had migraine headaches. And I can't remember, there's another one there. Okay? And she told me what they were. And I said, well, okay, Amy, would you really, truly like to clean this up? Yes or no? And remember, she's got all the intellectual information. That's how the ego works. It uses the intellect. Hasn't got a damn clue in the world what it's talking about. When you know that, and then it's all backed up with the medical proof that what the person is saying is true, but it's based on their lies. Yeah, it's based on the ego's lies. That's why it looks true. And I said, okay. I took brought her back, and what was I? Oh, yes. Brought her all the way back on her timeline to, now, I was just guiding her. She was doing all the work. And we went back to birth. And here, soon as she is about to be born, she is being born. Her mother is giving birth. Okay? And Amy notices her dad and picks up his energy that he wants a boy. And she is a girl. And she had a litany of symptoms for 30, I believe it's 34 years, no, it's more than that. No, it was 50. That's what it was, 50 years. All these symptoms. And they were all related to her not being a boy, of which her father wanted, so therefore she wasn't wanted. She wasn't good enough. She wasn't deserving. She created all of those ego energies, and that's the ego. It created all of these belief systems that are a bunch of bullshit. That's what beliefs are. They are positive and negative beliefs of who you think you are, not are, think you are. They're all an illusion. Every one of them in personal development, it's an illusion because you're using the intellect. They're all a scam. Okay? And that's why you have to go back to that program and you have to take this one again. Oh no, you have to go for the higher one. You must have missed something. La 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 la. And it's all a scam. It's all to make money. Now, there are people that do it because they actually, out of integrity, believe they're doing well, but it's not working. When you get to it's not working, that's when it starts to make sense to you. And so, once again, so got all this information, wrote it all out, said, okay, Amy, are you ready to let this go? And she said, absolutely, Don. Went, boom! Boom. Gone. Walked her back up the timeline, cleaned all everything up, got into the present. Everything was gone that she had just 2 minutes before. Now you tell me what that is. I'll tell you what it is. Okay? It's out-tricking the ego, number one, and using a neurological and cellular approach rather than an intellectual one. An intellectual one is an exercise in futility, and all it's going to do is drain your pocketbook and fill the other person's pocketbook. That's what it is. Okay? Because it's the ego energy. And it never, ever runs out of ideas. Without it, it stays that way. So, now, how many people, for example, and I've used this one because it's so accurate and so quick, you know? And I got tons and tons and tons of stories. But this particular one, I was in Vancouver, and I was on Cypress Mountain. Some of you have probably heard this story, I'm sure. And I was on Cypress Mountain, and they had a real strong recycling program there. Like, it looked like the inside of the garbage room was like this. You think it was the hospital. Okay, seriously, I'm not exaggerating. And so I had taken the garbage down, the recycling cans here, bottles here, paper here, garbage there, and I opened the door to walk out, and there was a guy on the other side of the door, and he was as gray as this here microphone, this speaker. That's how, and I said, "Holy shit, man, you don't look too good. What's going on?" Said, "I got prostate cancer. I've had it for 16 months. I've had 32 radiation treatments. They burnt all my stomach, wall, and intestines, scorched some of my organs." He said, I don't know how much time I have to live. I said, "Don't answer that bullshit. Can I ask you a few questions?" Yeah, okay. So I just, boom. We were finished. Gave him my phone number, walked out the door. Okay? And 3 weeks later, I get a call. It was from Al. Name was Al Valjanik. And he said, "Don, I just had x-rays. I don't have any cancer. Now tell me." So tell me what that is. How'd that happen? How did Al Valjanik get rid of all that cancer in 3 weeks? Okay? And what took so long was dealing with all of the toxicity that got filled in his system to try to deal with it the ego way. Yeah, exactly. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So, that's what I'm talking about. This is the ego tricking you. You tell me what's been going on in your life. That's repeated over and over and over again. Or you get rid of one symptom and another one pops up. You get rid of that one and another one pops up. Yeah. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And that's the ego. Because the intellect is not how you get rid of a neurological and cellular program. That's right. And that's what most people are using, is the intellect. Yep. So, now, what I'm saying is, there is an explosion happening on planet Earth about the Iamdivinity process. Because people are starting to, oh, wow. Is that true? Is that happen? Yeah. Like the guy that got rid of 5 addictions. 5 addictions in an hour and a half. 5 addictions. Alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, and sex. How many treatment centers are there? I worked in a treatment center. I worked in a treatment center for 8 years. Yeah. So I know how that system works intimately. Okay? And here it is, 15 minutes later. 15 minutes later, and it's like 5 addictions gone. Alcohol, drugs, food, gambling, and sex. There they were, right there. Okay? So, how different is that? So, yes, you can go to your doctor. Yes, you can go to your hospital. Yes, you can go to therapy. Yes, you can go and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And I'm telling you, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money for the most part, almost exclusively. Yes. So, it's time for you to access your divinity. Because I'm telling you, you're accessing the ego. Not your ego, the ego. That's what you're accessing, the ego. And you need to access your divinity. That's where all your power is. That's it. That's where it is. Okay? So, isn't this exciting? Like, seriously. And doesn't it make sense that there's an explosion about to take place on planet Earth? Yes, we will be a little restricted in foreign countries as far as language. Okay, the language piece, that's the only thing. But I practice on these Filipinos, and that I seem to be able to get them to get this. So if you can do it with a Filipino, we can do it with anyone. Okay? So, just kidding. And so I encourage you to start searching on Iamdivinity, okay? The Iamdivinity process. And start looking at the videos. There's tons of them on there. There's tons of them. I remember I was working with a guy that had cancer. Can't remember what it was. I think it was the colon. And they had a 5-year young boy. And Jason, I believe it was, yes. And I had gone to see the father a few times, and so their son had, oh gosh, what was it? You remember? Let me see. Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome. There we go. Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome. Never heard of it before. Never heard of it. And she kept saying, Don, and he was 5. Would you work with little Jason? And like I don't know how to work with kids. I haven't had the experience. Don't want to mess anything up. No, I'll take full responsibility. I will take full responsibility if something doesn't work quite the way you anticipated. Okay. Oh, okay. I will do that under those conditions. And so I work with him. I spent, I believe it was 45 minutes. I'm not totally sure. And she called me. The mother called me 2 days later, and she can't believe, like they used to have to drive him to school because he would get into fights. He would, he just, all of this energy is kind of like the, what's that other kid's symptom that a lot have. I forget what it is, but it's along that line. Anyway, so she, that's what she did. She, just kept track of all of this. And I went back, I think it was 10 days later. 10 days later. And he, and I forgot to give you the front part. He was only able to say, sit for 5 minutes at a time and could only say 3 words. And when I went to see him the second time, as I was seeing his father, he recited the alphabet and sat for 2 hours and 20 minutes without budging. How crazy is that? And that's with me knowing nothing. I never heard of Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome before. Plus, I hardly ever work with kids. So like, yeah, it's so there it is. So pretty exciting. So I understand now that the word is getting out through these excited people that are in Vancouver that are now spreading it to, here's the invites we got. This is Vancouver. We got an invite to Hamilton. We got an invite to Australia. We got an invite to New Zealand. We got an invite to whereabouts? I think it's in the States, somewhere in the South. And that's one night. That's just, well, it was 3 nights. Sorry, like one group, yes. So it was 3 nights, and we weren't even thinking of that when we did them. We just did the sessions, and so that's how fast it's growing. And no, it's not the intellectual program. It's not going to learn. You're not learning something. You're getting rid of a neurological and cellular program is what you're doing. Okay? And so that's the difference. And isn't that exciting that you have access to this? Yes. And it can get all cleaned up if you're open, honest, and willing. Those are the 3 things. Open-minded. Okay, so the ego is not in there in an open-minded person's way of thinking. It can't get in. Okay? Open-minded, willing. You need to be willing, and you need to be honest. Those are the 3 criteria for the work to happen. For you. For you. Okay? Do you have the ability to do that? Open-minded, willing, and honest. That's all you need to bring to the table. And a willingness and an enthusiasm, should you happen to get the results that everybody else is getting, that you're willing to pass this on to a minimum of 3 people. Minimum. Okay? That's the other part to this. That's the other part to this. Okay? There's people bringing in 10 and 20 and 30 people. But the minimum is 3. We would like it to be 10. So you think about that. How excited you would be if you got rid of your psoriasis or your migraine headaches or your asthma. And I'm telling you, there's 3 different scenarios where I did all 3 of them. You know how long it took for them to be gone? Do you want to take, do I need to give you a couple of minutes to figure it out? Or do you want me to just tell you? Okay, I'll just tell you. 1 second. That's how long it took. That's how long it took. Okay? It's videoed. It's videoed. You can't even, wow, that's impossible. Now that's the ego. Did you get that? If that's your answer, know that that's the ego answer, not your divinity. Because the divinity is going to say, what do you have to lose? Let's go see. Let's go explore. Yes. Imagine going that route. Yes. So, that's what we're doing here. And you have an opportunity to be involved at the ground floor. Imagine that. You having this story when there's a stadium, like a Taylor Swift stadium of people having this transformation all at the same time. Instant transformation. Got it? So you think about that. Yes, you get yours done, and you bring all your friends in for them to get it done. And then they bring theirs, and they get it done. Because we're talking about it globally doing this. We're not taking 10 years. Not at all. None of what we do fits with the traditional ego-based program. None of it. Including how quickly this is getting around the planet. Yes, because truth and integrity flies like a jet, like the sound of light, like the speed of light, I should say, not the sound, the speed of light. That's how fast this is going around the planet. So may I suggest that while it's still small, that you get involved before it's tens of thousands of people. Yeah. Okay? Because we've already got these places picked out as to where we're going in each country. So, there you have it. So, congratulations. It's always a pleasure to feed this information to beautiful people like yourself. Yes. Remember, it doesn't matter what those effing symptoms are. Whether it's a relationship symptom or a physical symptom or a toothache symptom. Okay? Or you're going to die of cancer. Like Carol. And 2 hours later, she goes from a 39 to a 7 on her telomeres or whatever. Anyway, you have that same opportunity. I look forward to seeing you in my very near future. You take care. Bye for now.